Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast for media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Striker, LuckyEevee, and Mathmachine. Today is our 5th episode, and we're discussing 2000's Pokémon The Movie 2000. So,
And we have a
let's get things
newcomer
started.
today. And we have ourselves a newcomer today in the form of the purple dragon himself, Isaor.
All right, welcome to the podcast. And yeah, so let's get things started. So yeah, the Pokemon anime and Pokemon in general has always been a popular franchise, but in like the late 90s to early 2000s, it was huge to the point of insanity. If you weren't there, it's extremely hard for me to say just how big Pokemon was. Like imagine the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Brony phenomenon. Multiply that times 500 and you have a bit of an inkling as to how big Pokemon was. I remember
Or Turtle Mania.
Yeah, or that too. But I remember reading like Pokemon the first movie and Pokemon the movie 2000, which we're talking about today, are still two of the highest grossing anime movies ever made when you factor in a worldwide box office, and that is insane. That just shows how huge this franchise was at like its peak. So yeah, this was made during the Pokemon Orange Island seasons. That was kind of the season that was kind of filler between Kanto and Johto, because Pokemon Johto, the Silver and Gold games, had yet to be completed. And yeah, Orange Islands overall is a really fun season. It's a good season, has a lot of good moments. You know, Ash actually becomes a champion in it, and of course, they never bring it up again.
Yeah, he was robbed of that one.
Yeah. I mean, he was
Apparently,
the champion. Sorry.
apparently Journeys does bring it up. Maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Also, LuckyEevee brought this up, but also, the Orange Islands take place canonically in the same location as the Sebi Islands, so they're most likely the same place. Chew on that, all you hash haters out there.
Awesome. So it is game canon too. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, according to the maps that were included with the Rise of Darkrai, the Orange Islands are in the same place as Sebi Islands and New Island from the first movie.
Right. Awesome. So yeah, Orange Islands was a lot of fun. It had a lot of good moments, but there was just one little change that really just kind of, I think bothered me and bothered most Pokemon fans, and that was replacing Brock with Tracy.
He was fine.
He was fine, but he didn't really have like a hook or like a character that Brock did. He was just there. It's like he didn't really have like it seemed like he didn't really have like a personality of his own or anything. It just seemed like he was just like window dressing basically.
It felt like Brock 2.0, except more artistic.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Also less womanizing.
Exactly. Well, that too. But also, they actually replaced Brock with Tracy, according to one source I have, to actually try to appeal more to Westerners. They felt that Tracy was a character that would appeal more to an international audience. And as someone who was part of that international audience, we were all like, who's this guy? Bring back Brock. And they listened.
And we're like, okay.
He stayed there for the next several seasons or so it's really, really, it shows how things can change like that. So with the Pokemon movies, what I always do, I don't know if you guys do this, I always watch the Pikachu shorts before the film. It just doesn't feel complete without it. Like watching Pokemon the first movie, I have to watch Pikachu's Vacation. Before like Pokemon the movie 2000, I gotta watch the Pikachu's Rescue Adventure, which is the short of this one. And it's a really charming short. I don't think it's as good as Pikachu's Vacation or like, the Pikachu and Pichu shorts or some of the later ones, but it has its charms. It's really nice. The whole thing with Blossom was cute, especially considering the fact that Pokemon movies around this time loved to basically do sneak peeks of what new generation Pokemon were like. Like the first one had like Snubbull and Meryl. And I, just to show how old I am, this was at a time when most of us saw Meryl and we thought, oh my god, it's Pika Blue.
You had the Hoenn movies, which had Bonsly, Munchlax, and Weavile.
Also, Also,
Lucario, can't forget him.
if you want to go all the way back to like the first ever episode, Ho-Oh was the first Johto Pokemon ever to be
And that I
revealed.
think was before like development on Gold and Silver were even out. So it really
Yeah.
shows that that they
Also-
definitely had this whole thing planned ahead of time.
Also, quick tangent, I am playing Pokemon while doing a podcast, so even more in character.
Well, hey, that's definitely being in character, that's for sure.
Yep.
So yeah, the villain in this movie, because pretty much a lot of the Pokemon movies have a villain or at least have like an antagonist. He isn't named in the movie, but from sources basically, his name is Lawrence the Third, and he's more of an anti-villain, like Mewtwo is in Mewtwo Strikes Back, the first movie. He's definitely more of like an anti-villain because he's not doing this like to rule the world. He's not doing this to basically, have command over all Pokemon. He's just really trying to complete his collection, which, funnily enough, is basically what you're trying to do in the games as well. So I wonder if it was like unintentional commentary on the filmmaker's part.
Who knows?
But yeah, like I say, it actually showcases, I think for the first time in the anime period, the legendary birds. We actually get to see them outside of, like, say, the intro sequence and stuff, and it really is such amazing animation on them that the movie in general, I think the Pokemon movies really have, or at least had, I don't know, how they are now, but they really had phenomenal animation, especially if you go back and look at, like, some of the backgrounds, some of, like, the lightning effects that, it is just amazing how well done these are. It's not, all-time best animated movie status, but it is a lot better than I think people remember. And the interesting thing, too, is this is around the time when they were trying to integrate CGI and 2D, and you can see that with Lawrence the Third's airship, basically. And it's a really good design. I think that it's aged somewhat. It definitely, is not as wow as it was back in the year 2000, but it definitely still, I think, is very well done.
Yeah, I think for the most part it does pretty good as well. And it also does an interesting job of like making the oh gosh, what was I going to say? It also does a good job of more or less characterizing the birds and some of the people in there. Like honestly, that's one of the problems with like anime movies. Like not all of it's canon.
Yeah,
Or for that matter, none of it's
like,
canon. But like,
I think like the only one that's been explicitly, tied to canon is the first one is Mewtwo Strikes Back. But for the most part, they do really good job.
And the Lucario movie.
Right.
The Lucario movie?
Yeah, because Ad has shown Olafendi in the main anime.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah, but for the most part, especially now, I think after like the 24th or 25th movie, so it's ironic that Pokemon anime movies didn't get anywhere close to the number 2000 in the movies they made. But anyway, I think after like the 25th movie, the Pokemon company basically decided, you know what, from now on, all these movies are going to be set in alternate universes. So they made like, Pokemon I Choose You, which is set in basically an alternate universe and basically retells the first episode, and a lot of them basically follow that pattern, and it's an interesting choice. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I enjoyed The Power of Us, and I also enjoyed I Choose You. It was like really impressive what all they introduced.
Yeah,
They
I
introduced
enjoyed Power of Us. That
Marshadow,
was
they
another good
introduced Ho-Oh.
They did a very good job, I think, of fleshing out, the original stuff. But yeah, I really enjoy how they, flesh out the characters in that. And speaking of, getting back to the whole thing of them, basically previewing Pokemon from the next generation, one of them, well, technically two of them, one of them we'll talk about in a little bit, but the other one that's a main character is the talking Slowking. Don't forget, Slowking didn't come out until Gen 2, and we were still technically in Gen 1 when this made, and he is such a great character. He really just has such good lines. The dub voice actor just really sells, I think, the potential of the character, the comedic aspect of it, as well as the more serious one.
Also, interesting tidbit.
Yep.
Like, even though I got started on the Gen 3 games and the Gen 3 remakes, it was actually Gen 2 that technically brought me to the dance. Sure as heck didn't leave with it, but it's something to note. I really love the Johto ones. It's weird, but it's a really fun weird.
Yeah, that's exactly like that was part of the appeal, I think, of Pokemon. Like, if you couldn't buy the games, if you couldn't buy the cards, you could at least watch the show and still be part of the conversation. And that's something I think on, Nintendo and, Game Freak and the Pokemon company's part, that's something that was really genius of them because it allowed people basically to be part of the conversation. Even if, you couldn't afford a Game Boy or you couldn't afford the cards, you could at least watch the show and talk about it that way. So it definitely worked out well. But yeah, Johto definitely was good. Johto kind of got a little bit filler in the middle, but I think that it actually works because Pokemon filler episodes, I feel they can be just as fun as like the ones that do the main plot. I've never been one to be, oh, it's a filler episode, I'm going to skip it. So for me, I feel like, Johto definitely was fun, and same thing with Orange Islands. So yeah, but like getting back to the character development for this, a couple of people who get really good character development is, of course, Team Rocket. They are my favorite characters of the anime. I am kind of sad they're going to be gone now that the new anime that's coming out is doing almost like a complete reboot of the franchise, basically. So I don't think we'll see Jesse and James and Meowth again, and of course Wobbuffet, but he didn't exist yet. But it's really a shame because they really were such great characters, especially in this, because we get to see them basically try to overcome like their villainry, basically. They try to like coexist their villainous sides with, being heroes and saving the world. I mean, that they basically, sacrifice themselves to save Ash, and, that's a huge thing. And, of course, they have this conversation at the end that's, basically, sorry, I'm tongue twister here, but basically they go like, that's good, that's bad, but that's good, but that's bad. And it really reminds me of that part of The Simpsons with the cursed doll. The doll is cursed. That's bad. But it comes with a free yogurt. That's good. The yogurt is also cursed. That's bad. It's like that.
Oh, we don't have any meat. That's bad. Then we'll just steal some. That's good. Oh, wait, that's bad.
Yeah, like I said, exactly. It really is.
Got that moment.
It's just classic lines of dialogue, and that's, I think, why Team Rocket were definitely my favorite characters. Even from when I was a kid, I always thought they were hilarious when they'd show up. Although Pikachu is absolutely adorable, and I love him. I love that they have a Captain Pikachu in the new anime. That is so adorable looking, and he gets a lot of good moments in this movie too. And I wouldn't mind actually seeing a Pokemon basically anime that's just, the Pokemon being themselves, because that always is such an adorable moment. So yeah,
another thing. I don't know if it's possible or not, but if not, I really wish that Gen 9 would allow you to transport the Legends Arceus forms over to Gen 9.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That definitely is something that's a missed opportunity there.
I'll need to look it up after, but I think that's most likely the case. They allowed that to happen.
But yeah, like I say, but yeah, with the movie too, what's interesting that this is the first and definitely not the last time that Ash is shown as the chosen one, which apparently was an invention of the dub, apparently, with like the power of one Aesop. That was actually all in the dub. It wasn't the original Japanese version. And I think it's pretty well done. And to be perfectly honest, I think the Pokemon dub itself, like the 4Kids dub, has always been one of the better ones. It always got a bad rap, and I never understood why. To me, I mean, granted, I was a kid, but like even when I was like in 2020, I was in quarantine. That I went and rewatched it. It has held up. I'm sorry, the Pokemon anime and the original dub, it has really held up well compared to a lot of stuff that came before it. I mean, they got Weird Al Yankovic to do a song about Pokemon in the credits. I mean, that isn't good, I don't know what is. They got Weird Al to do a Pokemon song. What more do you want from them?
I mean, the guy's done a lot of music. I mean, he's done freaking.
He's done everything.
Pop songs. The earliest you can argue is he did a version of Dare to Be Stupid. He did Dare to Be Stupid in the Transformers movie.
The 84 Transformers movie, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was 87 movie. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but anyway, getting back to the thing, though, is that I think what also really works well about the movie, about Pokemon the movie 2000, is that I really feel that the concept of it, basically with the Pokemon going haywire, and that is something that definitely hadn't been done before in the franchise. It's been done, I think, maybe a couple of times, not on this scale. And it kind of ties in, believe it or not, to the original ending that the head screenwriter of the anime had, which is that, and this is not a joke, this is how the Pokemon anime was going to end. The Pokemon rebel against humanity, and Ash realizes that his dream was a foolish one, which would have definitely been interesting to see. It also definitely would have been traumatizing for kids, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of
And
glad that
I'm
they didn't go
so
with that.
glad they did not do that.
No,
Mhm.
I think everybody is. Everybody basically is glad that they did not do that kind of thing.
I'm sure there are those one or two weirdos out there who probably are a little miffed that ending didn't happen, but to them I say, you want kids to be traumatized their entire life and have Pokemon end before it began?
Exactly,
No?
exactly.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, Don Bluth going, "You're damn right I do."
Oh god, Bluth Pokemon would have been something else. But yeah, the funny thing about that too is if you go back and basically read the reviews that these Pokemon movies got, they were insanely negative. Like, I get not enjoying a movie. I get, this wasn't made for most critics, but they treated this like this was like this was just absolute, like the worst movie ever made, like Ed Wood territory.
Hey,
And
I mean,
I'm
holy
sorry,
crap,
they
there are
really
way worse Pokemon movies out there, man.
no, I know,
Way
but like
worse.
the first one and Pokemon the Movie 2000, if you go back and read the reviews, because a lot of them are still archived on the internet, it is almost laughable how just insanely angry and aggressive these professional reviewers, not even like reviewers like say like Nostalgia Critic or those guys. These are professional reviews in professional newspapers, and they were just basically saying this whole thing was garbage, and that definitely is not the case. But
That
for
is
my money,
stupid.
this movie is really just as good as Pokemon the first movie. I feel like this movie and the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, basically, not Pikachu's Vacation, but if we're just comparing the baseline movies, I feel this is neck and neck with Mewtwo Strikes Back, basically, because this is just such a great movie. It has such great character development. I mean, Lugia's song, which we will get to in a second, that is such a beautiful, heartwarming piece. And speaking of which, it's time to talk about the big guy himself, or being
Lugia!
themselves, the Lugia. Now,
Best
Lugia,
Johto legendary.
oh, definitely, easily the best. One of the best legendaries, period, in my opinion, because Lugia is just so amazing looking. I love everything about the design. And the interesting thing, Lugia was made for this movie. They were not made by Game Freak or by the Pokemon Company. They were made by the art team of this movie. So basically, we have this Pokemon who did not originate in the games, because this came out a couple of years before Gold and Silver. So you had this character was developed, and Lugia was actually meant, and this is why we're discussing it, even though Lugia technically, if you want to get like really, technical nitty gritty about it, technically isn't like a Dragoness or a female Saurian, but Lugia was developed to be a female. Lugia was written as a female, and the screenplay writer apparently like fought tooth and nail
And
and
nailed
had
to have it be
arguments with the
female.
producers. Yeah, to keep Lugia a female. He lost, and sadly, he actually got really depressed with that. He felt that he failed, that he didn't actually manage to stay true to his vision, sadly. But
That's a
as a
shame.
consolation, I guess, a female Lugia would appear on the actual show in the Johto Journeys, which we will definitely discuss at a later date, and then we could actually talk about the anime episodes themselves and the basically the anime itself with that and Johto in general.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a real
Lugia.
shame.
Yeah.
Also, according to False Swipe Gaming, Lugia by far is one of the strongest legendaries out there. Like
Oh, I
even
can
next to
definitely see that.
Mewtwo,
He's an
Rayquaza, and
Aeroblast
Zacian
alone.
and Dragonite. Like we have Aeroblast, we have Multiscale, which is a really great ability. And let's see, Sidekick, Rain Dance, Calm Mind. Like this is freaking Lugia. This is freaking Lugia, a strong powerhouse that pretty much can tank hits and dish some back, and then some, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And yet it's interesting in the movie that the legendary birds combined, Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres are all combined are more powerful than Lugia. They actually managed to take Lugia down. And that's something that definitely as a kid was shocking. And to this day, the animation of it still is really heartbreaking. And like I say, it's something that definitely, when you actually compare that to what happens in the game where Lugia can pretty much basically steamroll over them, it's totally different. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's interesting that Lugia in this speaks telepathically, and Lugia does have a male voice actor. In most of the dubs that I've seen, Lugia has a male voice actor, but it does not do this in the series or in the episode, like say with the mother Lugia and with several others. Yeah, it's not shown to communicate like this, so it makes you wonder if that was meant just for this one, or if it was meant for like all Lugia in general, and they just couldn't do it for some reason in like the screenplays. I actually don't know if the anime movie script writers, for the most part, if they actually could take stuff from the movie. I know that's why we actually got like a female Mewtwo in one of the other movies, because the Mewtwo from Mewtwo Strikes Back and Mewtwo's Return and all that was actually under some kind of a copyright. So it could be that kind of deal. It could be like, the copyright is so tangled up that they couldn't have used this Lugia in the series. But in a way, it's still good that we got to see it, because with this theatrical quality animation, Lugia is just absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, Lugia is 100% majestic.
It's just so ethereal. It really is almost like I'm gonna go on a limb and say it. Lugia is one of the most beautiful Pokemon. Period. In just terms of like aesthetics, it really Sorry.
I think in the Johnny's Lugia, I think it was mentioned that Lugia was telepathic and could speak to Ash and Go.
Yeah, they did say that.
Right. It's been a while since I've seen that, so sorry about that. It's been a while since I've actually watched Johto, believe it or not. I watched Hoenn, but I haven't seen Johto in a while. I'll definitely try and catch up on it. Especially for the episode we're going to do on it, the two-part episode with Richie. But yeah.
This is Journeys.
Yeah, this is Journeys. They said that in Journeys.
Oh, Journeys. That was in the Johto Journey. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why it's
not Johto Journeys.
Yeah, no. In the Journeys.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. Yeah, that's why I mentioned Go.
But yeah, Lugia's song in the movie, not just the version that's played on like, the flute, but like the full orchestrated version is really just such a beautiful, beautiful song. And they actually, I think, incorporate some of the melody in the song and the end credits, The Power of One, which is sung, believe it or not, by none other than Donna Summer. Yeah, she was a 70s disco, singer, basically. She was very popular. And I don't know if you guys remember this. This was something that happened in 2011. A politician ended up quoting the Power of One song, and he said it was written by a great poet. And it's like, no, it's not. It was written
by Dana freaking Summers, you jackass. What the heck?
Exactly. But yeah, that's something that definitely happened. But yeah, Lugia is really just well animated. Lugia's Aeroblast just looks incredible. I mean, I saw this on the big screen, and it just looked fantastic, and it still, to this day, looks fantastic. It really shows how, like, the original Pokemon movies, the animation was just so top-notch that then they could get away with a lot of stuff that they couldn't on, like, the TV show budget.
And granted, we do get some of that in like the newer movies, like with for the most part, the new I Choose You movie, The Power of Us, and even the Zarude movie.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like this one though, it seemed was almost on like a whole other level at some times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, what's also interesting too is that there's a plot twist. I don't want to get too much into spoilers here, but there's the plot twist that Lugia is not the actual beast of the sea. It's like some kind of a water golem thing, basically. And that I thought was a pretty good plot twist, especially for the audience they were aiming for. I definitely think they really wrote that in well.
Yeah, we could have gotten that. But we got Lugia, and we are forever grateful
Oh no,
for
we
it.
definitely are grateful. Lugia is just so beautiful. Lugia is, and believe me, the whole franchise would be different without it because
Mhm.
who would be the legendary of gold and silver otherwise,
Oh yeah, I mean we got
Exactly,
Holo, but who could frickin' circumvent that?
No one. And
Okay, I
that's
have
exactly.
found new information.
Yep, go ahead.
According to the novelization of the movie, Aeroblast was capable of splitting seas and shattering continents.
Whoa,
Holy hell, Death Battle! You
Whole,
had better reference that.
whole
definitely.
continents just destroyed just by Aeroblast.
Wow, Lugia is one tough.
Yeah, I mean its Wingbeat can generate
one
frickin'
tough legendary, that's for sure.
So
And at 225 base power, Aeroblast Double Plus is the highest power of any move in Pokemon Go.
Whoa,
Well,
that
damn.
is something else.
Lugia OP, please nerf.
Yeah, definitely. Imagine if they were like that in the game. It'd be like one hit KO, one hit KO, one hit KO. They could probably, hack the game, get a Lugia, and just basically sweep the whole game and get the Elite Four in like
And it
10
was also
minutes.
the only flag type move introduced in the entire Generation 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I forgot
Wow,
about that. It's been a while since we played Gen 2, too. Yeah.
And in Adventures was named by Surge.
Whoa, that's neat. I love when they do that. I love when they do like that whole, welding of the canon between the generations. That's always so cool when they do that. I really like that, they pay a lot of attention to like their history and to like, the other generations like that. Although you could say that, Johto and, Kanto were meant to be linked, but I still think that's a really cool touch regardless.
Yeah, they were always meant to be linked. If Pokemon Crystal and Heart Gold and Soul Silver were any indication.
Well, this is specifically the Adventures canon.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
It is true.
So yeah, 2000 in general, I feel like it's interesting that basically Lawrence the Third kind of gets away with it. I mean, yeah, his entire collection is destroyed and his airship is destroyed, but he literally just decides to pick himself up and he basically says, well, I'm going to start collecting again, which definitely is something unique in that, see, I feel like for the Pokemon anime, that does work because I feel like in general, it really just fits basically the characterization, if not this movie, then of basically the anime as a whole.
I found it funny that in that scene it was, oh, I'm going to start my collection over again. By the way, here's the product placement for the thing you get for watching this movie.
Right, the ancient Mew card. They gave that out in theaters, didn't they?
Yep.
Right.
I think they released it recently too.
Right. I forgot about that. That was so cool. Yeah, that's something that the anime really did well. They also really managed to tie things in together, basically like that. So, yeah, I wonder if that was put in before they decided to do the tie-in, or if they were like, okay, we're doing this tie-in for the ancient Mew card. We got to find a way to get it in the movie. So you got to put it in the movie. In this point, what was it like? Did the ancient Mew card come before the movie, or did the movie come before the card, basically? Was this all just a big promotional stunt? Although you could say that with all of Pokemon in general.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it is great. It is still great. It's a great movie. It has really, basically, like I say, really beautiful music, beautiful animation, fantastic. I'm gonna be honest, this is some of the best voice acting I think of the entire franchise is in this movie, basically, and it really just works out well.
Yep, it works a whole lot better than anything Bethesda's doing.
Exactly. And of course, there's other Pokemon movies. There's, they made several others of them. What happens, sadly, is that some of the later ones didn't do good theatrically, but there is one we're going to talk about, the one with Laitas and Laitos, which were
Latios and Latios, yeah.
Thank you, Dewey.
I have literally never heard anyone say them like that until just now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Well, you've heard it now.
I have only heard Latias and Laitos.
Yeah,
well,
Latios and Latios.
Well, I've always said it that way until this second. So, what do you know? Oh, good. Well, but yeah, that movie is definitely one we're going to talk about in the podcast in the future, and that's definitely going to be a fun one to talk about. The later
Yeah.
aspects of the Pokemon movies, and
Like that was my depression movie. That was the movie that made me really sad.
yeah, no, it
That's
definitely
amazing.
is the most tear jerking of the movies, and
Question.
yeah, it definitely is probably objectively the best movie when you get down when you actually really think about it with like character development, characterization. That movie probably is the best one.
I
Although
wish
I
that
will
was
admit,
canon.
these ones were good as well. They're all pretty much good. I don't feel like they get really bad until like later on, like much later. But for the most part, I feel like all the Pokemon movies are pretty much equal on quality.
Hmm.
So now it is time for the question of this episode, which is what memories do you have about Pokemon? And I'll go first. And I was born basically in 1994, so I basically grew up with all of it. I had Pokemon Blue, I had Pokemon Silver, I had Ruby, I had the Fire Red, I had, I think, Pokemon Channel or one of them. But yeah, I definitely, but yeah, I tongue twister, sorry. But yeah, with the anime in general, and basically with the memories in general, what happens is that because I basically grew up during the whole Pokemania craze and stuff like that, it definitely was a huge part of my childhood. I mean, I was on the train and there were like, grown, college aged, men playing Pokemon on Game Boys. That's how huge it was. It wasn't just a kid thing. It wasn't just like, a childhood thing. It was an everyone thing, at least for a little while. And for my memory, as much as, I love this movie, I like this, and stuff like that, and the generations, my favorite generation is always Hoenn and Gen 3 because it's probably the one that I was the oldest where I actually knew basically how to play the game and basically, what to do. Because in the first Pokemon Blue, I didn't know what I was doing. In Silver, I got up to the Kimono Girls before I got stuck. But yeah, Hoenn to me is my favorite generation because, I don't know, it just feels like summer. It just feels so comfortable, so relaxing. It has a really great story with Agua and Magma, something different. It has probably some of the best legendaries, although Lugia is the best legendary in my opinion. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely watch the anime, especially it aired here all the time. The dub actors over here, because I know in the States, they changed the dub actors around the time of,
Battle
in the middle of
Frontier.
Hoenn. Yeah, over here, they never did that. So it basically has been the same voice actors since 1999. And it's funny, in the more recent ones, they actually had to pitch Ash's voice up a little with like some kind of an auto tune to still make him sound young because the guy had been playing Ash Ketchum for 20 years now. So it was a
Uh,
funny thing. But yeah, Pokemon definitely is one of my favorite gaming franchises. Probably one of my favorite franchises, period. It's something that just really has such good memories of. I really just, Pokemon in general is something that definitely is a part of my childhood. And it's definitely a part of so many people's childhoods as well. And it's a
yeah.
huge franchise for a reason. There's a reason stuff like, like He-Man and that went away, but stuff like Pokemon is eternal because it really is something about it that just hits well with, the target audience and with people in general, I feel. But yeah.
Yeah. My earliest memory would have to be around when I was still like just getting into kindergarten. Like I was like hanging out. I was looking around. Actually, when I was young, we would go over to my cousin Bill's place and do a lot of good stuff together. Apparently, at one of those times, a friend of the family, Alexa, would would occasionally bring a Game Boy and bring a lot of interesting games. One of those games was Fire Red, and I was honestly forever hooked when I first saw it. I got the Game Boy, I got the Fire Red, and or was it Leaf Green? I think it was Leaf Green. But either way, I played it a lot when I was young, to the point where sometimes I would lose the actual cartridges, and we would have to replace them multiple
Oh,
times.
that's always
Yeah, that's
a good
always rough
time.
when you're young and you have to lose cartridges. I think Fire Red was the longest lasting cartridge that I still kept around. But then I saw someone playing the Hoenn games, and then Emerald came into my life after
that's
Ruby.
a good
After I
one.
lost
Emerald's
Ruby,
great.
so yeah, Emerald pretty much was my comfort game for like the majority of it. I was still young and still unable to really grasp that I could use other Pokemon other than just Swampert, because Swampert is the golden boy
Oh,
of
definitely,
the entire game.
Swampert's my favorite too. I always went with the water starters, always, when I played it,
Yeah. I kind of mix and matched a little bit between grass and water for the Gen 1 starters. But anyways, but yeah, I pretty much started my illustrious journey with Fire Red and then went on to Emerald, and I didn't beat the Elite Four because I was still like in the mindset of Swampert is king, and Swampert was the first Pokemon I ever got to level 100. Fun fact.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, Isador, you have a Pokemon story, don't you?
Somewhat, yeah.
Oh,
All
by all
right.
means, tell us.
All right, but this is basically my journey through Pokemon because I had a long road. Give me 1 second to make sure nothing will go boom boom on me.
Hey, by
But,
all means, go right ahead.
Huh?
But yeah, this is the earliest instance of Pokemon for me, I think. I do not remember when, but if I do a quick search, I can definitely make sure.
All right.
Oops, that is not the one, so now I know which one it is. But I think I was young when I first started seeing the cards. I didn't really pay the...
Right, the card game.
Yeah. There, I have... Oh, boy.
Take your time.
Yeah, but, yeah, the cards I wasn't really interested in, but I still have those cards. They're in a book of mine. They are, like, really old. They may have taken some water damage, but my earliest Pokemon game that I played was the Crystal version, you know, with...
Nice.
Nice. That was a good one, too.
Yeah, I tried to play that when I was really young. However, at that age, I was really, really young, and I did not know how to save the game, so I would constantly have to... I would constantly have to restart it, and
Do it over and over again like Groundhog Day.
yeah, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing. However, when I was going through 3rd to 5th grade, that's when Pokemon started popping up for me again. Like, first I started seeing some movies starting to pop up, and people were starting to bring cards in, and made me curious. So the first Pokemon movie I think I watched was when Black and White came out. The Black and White movie with Reshiram and Kyurem. No, that's not Kyurem. Zekrom. That's what it
Zekrom,
is.
Reshiram and Zekrom, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the movie too closely. I think I was really young, so I don't remember every single detail. All I know is that Reshiram was my favorite. So once I saw that, and I finally went to the store and bought a card pack. And this was before Toys R Us became extinct. But I got my first pack.
Don't remind me.
Yeah. Rumors are that's supposed to come back, by the way, at some point.
There's a Toys R Us in like the town I'm at, but like it has the sign up, but the lot is like empty. Like so it's basically they're just teasing me, like just get it open already.
Yeah, that's always a weird feeling.
Yeah,
But yeah, I get a Black and White card pack because you know that was the craze during then. I get it. First freaking, and the one card that I get is very lucky by chance. I mean, unfortunately, it ain't that special because you know this is when the EX era started. I think. I do not remember. I don't remember when all the. I don't keep up with the card game stuff anymore, but I do purchase packs occasionally. But first pack, I somehow managed to nail a freaking Reshiram right off the bat.
Nice. Awesome. That's always good when something like that happens, especially when you don't mean for it to happen, and then it's such a cool surprise.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I was so bloody happy that I got a Reshiram. I mean, it was a basic Reshiram, but still, though,
Better than nothing.
just
yeah.
getting it right off the pack, getting it right off the bat during the first pack, that made my day.
It's like getting Dark Magician off, or frickin' Blue Eyes White Dragon off the first pack, or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon even.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
don't even know
so-
what it is, and then I like you heard
Yeah.
it right. Oh, is this good? And it's right, and yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting
So
fact.
after
Interesting fact. Reshiram is easily the best of the bunch, especially since Kyurem Light is easily my favorite version of Kyurem, since it can have access to fire moves as well as Ice and Dragon, which makes it
Nice,
really
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of that, which I'll get to in a few moments, but yeah. After like a few packs later, after the craze started dying down, I think I don't remember when I saw it, but the next Pokemon Black and White movie came out. I don't remember the name of it specifically.
Kyurem
but
versus the
that's
Swords
when-
of Justice.
Exactly. Yeah, that's like the first Pokemon movie and anime I actually sat down and watched for once, and I loved it. I loved Keldeo. I loved Kyurem. I loved the characters. That was an awesome movie, and I've been trying to hunt down a both or all versions of Kyurem ever since. I only got like one version, I believe, right now, maybe two, but yeah, I have them.
nice,
Then
nice.
this
Well, I hope
is-
you get it.
Yeah. Then this is when my Pokemon Star journey really began, because after all that, the craze finally went down. I dropped Pokemon for a while. But then when I got 3DS and Pokemon games are always getting advertised, I was wondering about getting a Pokemon game. I think during a Christmas or something during my birthday or whatever.
Mhm.
I got Pokemon Omega Ruby. The thing
Nice,
that
nice.
really started it off.
Alpha Sapphire's better.
That or you just like water critters more.
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah. I was aware that Alpha Sapphire existed, but there was something that Groudon that just freaking drawn me toward him.
It looks like
Between the
Godzilla, so
color-
it's a dragon.
Basically,
So, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, and you
I always
already know
wanted to
I'm a
see
big sucker.
Toho team up with the Pokemon Company to make like kaiju versions of Pokemon. That would have been so awesome. We technically, I guess, got it with Gigantamax, but it definitely would have been cool to see like an official crossover, basically.
All right, so
Yeah.
the Omega Ruby story. Go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I started it up, and I remember my very first Pokemon that I went with is Torchic. That little tiny little pipsqueak that grows up to be one hell of a fighter
Yeah.
later in life.
It's based off of
Yeah.
cockfighting, fun fact.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was old enough to actually get a mental capacity of what to do somewhat for Pokemon. So I was able to get through it, and my rival decides to get the very thing that could kill my frickin' Torchic.
Swampert, best Pokemon!
Yep.
Yeah, the one thing, like, oh crap, this is why we're doing this? Son of
Exactly.
a... Yeah.
I mean, get a grass type and you're good, right?
Basically.
Yeah. So a while would pass, and I would, encounter all the characters, like a lot of stuff, go through multiple gyms. I definitely got, what was it? The sloth guy. It was a sloth guy.
Slackoth, or
Slackoth,
Vigoroth, or
Slowcock.
Slacking.
Slackoth,
Slowcock.
yeah, Slackoth.
Yeah, I think so. He would, he'd be a little tiny, weak little pink guy, and then turns to a big freaking sleepy ape. But, yeah. Then I started bumping into Team Magma a few times.
Mhm.
I honestly liked Team Magma.
Yeah,
They,
they're definitely some of the best, basically Pokemon teams in my opinion. That's why I liked, like Gen 3 and of course the remake of Gen 3.
Yeah, they really did a lot. I'm also interested in like Tabitha's redesign because it kind of makes him look like Majin Buu. Interesting fact.
Exactly.
Majin Buu.
I don't remember. I don't remember if Torchic evolved yet into Fudge. I can't remember the second form's name, but
But yeah.
Combuskin, right? But I remember I remember it was a fighting gym. I completed that, and I met Steven in the cave, describing the tale about Groudon and Kyogre. At the time, I didn't understand it, but now I do. As beings that fought in an ancient war against each other. So I met him. Then a while after, I would meet frickin' Latios, the blue one.
Latios.
That one.
Yeah,
Latios.
not Ladios.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
God.
like one of the first. That was one of the very first. Well, aside from Torchic, that was one of the very first legendary Pokemon I fell in love with, aside from Groudon.
Definitely.
I was heavily in love with him. I mean, I have his Mega Form. I have like a tiny little statue of his Mega Form in the corner of my room because I bought a card pack.
Latias is
when I
better.
saw it.
It's a female.
Definitely gotta agree with you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I loved him, and just being able to fly around him, that was freaking awesome. That was just freaking awesome. Until the part where you smack into a bunch of bird Pokemon and have to beat a bunch of them in the face.
Yeah, just like just flying around with a bunch of birds fly at you.
Exactly. So yeah,
yeah, you just have to grab them by the throat and bash their faces in so they fall to the ground.
exactly.
That just gave me the giggles, man.
me too. So,
Awesome.
You've gotten in my airspace.
God.
So yeah,
Get out of my airspace.
LuckyEevee, what's your Pokemon story?
Oh wait, did he finish his the Omega Ruby story?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say I wasn't done.
Oh, sorry.
There was.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, after like a long while, like after beating Magma and the gym leaders, after a while, I would finally get my chance at Groudon. And then Groudon reached his Omega form, which is like, oh god.
Groudon.
Base,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, base Groudon, don't get me wrong, it's cool. I'm still hunting it down in that Pokecord bot. But yeah, I saw that, but his primal form, oh my god. And I go up against him thinking he's going to be a tough guy. And next thing you know what, I accidentally one-shot him with a Mega Evolved Latios.
Oh. Hopefully you saved before then, right? Right?
Problem is, I didn't know it auto-saved.
It didn't auto-save. I think.
Yeah, but I accidentally saved thinking I'll be able to get him later. So, yeah, I accidentally messed up on that. I was panicking because I didn't know how to get him back. So, yeah, I dropped the game for a little bit. Then a while later, I would come back to it to finish it up because I remembered that the Elite Four were a thing. I went through that, started beating the Elite Four, and then I meet the champion, who happened to be Steven. I cannot tell you the betrayal I felt like there. Like, you were the champion?
It wasn't really a secret.
I didn't know. Either I wasn't paying attention or something, but yeah, it was at a New Year's party when I noticed when this happened.
Oh, perfect timing.
Nice.
And he kicked my arse.
Oh.
Ouch.
Yeah, after that I just felt betrayed and broken. I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. So after that, a while later, I remember I was leaving a stable. Like, I started remembering about Pokemon, and I'm like, maybe I should get back into it.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
it's definitely worth it.
So I start looking up how to get Groudon, because I was fearful I had to start all over, and then I found my solution. Finish off where I left off, and then I could go back and get him, since I didn't save. So... This was actually like a year or two later. Like, this is like a year or two later, by the way. So I dropped it for like a while. So, yeah. I started doing research, figuring out who has what for Final Four. And then when I finally went there, I finally bashed Steven's face in enough. So that way it was bloody. Yeah, I finally, after a long, hot battle, I finally claimed the throne as a champion. Then I went back, getting stuff ready to go for Groudon, and this time I learned from my mistakes, and I accidentally killed him a few times, but hey, at least this time learned from my past mistake and didn't save
Good.
when afterwards. So I was so happy when I got him. And then after I got him, I went to hunt down his Omega Crystal. Once I got that, I was so happy to have his primal form.
Nice, nice.
Oh, and before I even went after him, I noticed that there was a mission there was a side mission after that, which made me curious because this was the side mission with an ex-Magma member. Don't know, I can't remember how
That's
it went.
Zinnia. She does her own thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I get Groudon, I do that, and then the game throws another surprise at me and goes like, "Hey, guess what? You have to catch Rayquaza. No questions asked."
Ooh, ooh.
I accidentally nuked him a few times.
Ouch.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
thankfully the game makes you catch him.
Right, right.
Yeah,
At
so
least there's that.
at least he'll get back up. And then they throw another legendary Pokemon at me.
Deoxys.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that weird
Yeah.
alien one. This takes me a few times to actually catch him because he was actually tough to beat down weather. But
Did you save your Master Ball?
I don't think I caught him with a Master Ball.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
Even
I don't know.
if you accidentally knocked him out and didn't save, he would have still been there on Skypill if you beat him before again.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, I got him. I was happy. And then I started collecting the rest of the legendaries, which unfortunately I can't get every single last one of them since I accidentally saved at some point. After missing some of the other ones, portals. So I'm never getting those again.
Oh.
So, whoops.
Right, right.
Oh well, that's...
Yeah.
Either way, Ruby was awesome.
Yeah.
definitely.
And then,
Alpha Sapphire was awesome too.
Yeah, then I started Sun, because I wasn't able to get a hold of X, or Y, because I wanted Y, since my friend had it, but
Yeah, X is
I
better.
couldn't.
A better legendary, I'll be honest.
Definitely,
Both of them are good. I'm
Yeah.
just more attracted to the
Darkness.
Y.
The darkness.
Yeah, the black and red, and, the dragon-esque, the wyvern-esque type.
It's a
I
dark
can't
flying,
do.
man. Don't get your hopes up.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, I got Pokemon Sun. I started it up, and I played it for a little while, but then I just dropped it completely, because I couldn't muster up the will to continue.
It's honestly pretty short. If you soldier through it, you'll 100% beat it in like under a month. I did a little over a month, but it was a really fun experience.
I can definitely see that. So
Yeah,
it was a really cool story.
Right now, I'm currently going through Pokemon Violet. I dropped it for a little bit because I got busy with stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pokemon Violet. Never before have I been hyped up to play a freaking Pokemon game. Because, I mean, sure, Mega Ruby is cool, but seeing Miraidon, hands down, yeah, I wanted him badly. I'm surprised they give you him right off the bat. Not right off the bat, but still, already?
Exactly,
They give you a
But
bike. They give you a bike, man.
He turns into a bike with parts of himself. However, here's the catch about his legendary form.
Yeah, go ahead.
You get him at his basic form. So the fancy form you see at the beginning and on the box art, you have to work your way toward it.
Yeah, no kidding.
So right now, I think you have to battle the Titans and get their food and able to do it. But right now, I have one upgrade, and that allows him to speed up a lot more.
Nice.
Just launching out Ramens and anything. But other than that, aside from beating both the grass and bug type gyms, that's where my journey has to be continued.
Oh.
Yeah, I never thought I would get into Pokemon that much, but it's still amazing, and I'm happy for the memories.
Oh, yes, and I just looked it up. You can, in fact, transfer Pokemon, Legend Arceus Pokemon to Scarlet and Violet.
Awesome.
That's something to look forward to.
That is so awesome. So, so LuckyEevee, what's your Pokemon story?
Yeah.
Well, I started getting into it around Gen 2. I started off with Yellow and Silver.
Same, more or less.
Nice.
And ever since I've gotten like at least a game from every generation since.
Or at least tried to.
Yeah. As well as getting most spin-offs.
Right. And Math, what's your story?
Apparently, I'm the old man of the group because I remember watching the very first episode that came out in the U.S., the St. Anne Battle episode, for some weird reason. I don't know why they started with that one. And
That's a weird one to start off with, especially considering it's a part one of a two-parter. That definitely is a weird one to start off on. But
yeah, I've never understood why 4Kids did that, other than I guess to show what stuff had a little bit later on.
I mean, it's not the first episode, but it's a very interesting episode to start on. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. It definitely hooks the audience in.
Got the red version of the game shortly after. Had a version of the game all throughout. The first 4 gens kind of stopped after that. I had the spin-offs. I had the stadiums. I had. I was one of the few people that actually played the TCG, not just collected them, but actually tried to play the game. I must have been the only guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically anything pre 2003, 2004, I was really invested in, and then just stopped and got invested again in the last 5, 7-ish years.
All right. All right. So now it is time for the most important part of the show, the patent pending Dragoness Scale. And we are talking today, going to review Lugia. Now, this isn't Lugia as a whole. This isn't like Lugia, like from, say, the actual anime episodes. This is just the Lugia from Pokémon The Movie 2000. So, I will go first. I am going to give Lugia a pretty high score. I am actually going to give Lugia a 9 out of 10. It's probably one of the highest scores yet. And the reason I'm giving Lugia that high of a score is because, number one, the design. Number two, basically the amount of importance that Lugia has had as a whole, basically in the Pokemon anime and in Pokemon in general. And number three is basically just the fact that, Lugia as a character and as a design standpoint really is one of the maybe top 3 Pokemon ever made, at least top 5. It really just shows that even though this Lugia technically isn't female, they get a high score for their importance and for the way that they're written and designed. Angron, what would you say?
That ultimately would depend. In general, I would 100% give it a 9 out of 10. Like, not just for its importance and, like, the overall media, but, like, just in general. It's a top-tier Pokemon, and it's a reason it's my number 1 favorite flying type, period. In terms of the movie, however, I have to be a little more strict. I mean, he's not a bad character in the movie. He has importance, but like the stuff that's shown, him getting one more or less technically blasted away by the 3 legendary Pokemon, multi-scale be damned, and him just coming back later after the song. It's majestic, it's really important, but he doesn't do all that much, I'll be honest.
That's the only thing that is. Yeah, but I think what he does do, what Lugia does do within the movie, is well done enough to where I think it really makes up for it. But again, that's just my opinion. So, what would you give?
More or less, it kind of does make up for it a little bit, but even then, I'm only gonna have to give it a 7 out of 10. Lugia in general is great, but like this version of Lugia here kind of feels a little underwhelming. It's hurtful, but it's the truth. So 7 out of 10 for me.
All right.
What about you, Isaor?
I don't know Lugia that much. Like I said, I don't know him enough to get a precise score. I mean, I know what he looks like. I mean, it's an interesting design.
What would you give it basically from a design standpoint then? Like a 1 out of 10, basically.
Since he is a dragon type...
psychic flying.
Psychic flying.
Okay, so he isn't a dragon type. I thought he was.
Well, he's not, sorry.
Charizard isn't either. I mean, it's weird,
Yeah, it's weird, but it works. Anyways, rating.
I would have to give 8 out of 10 because he is indeed unique to his own thing for the most part. Hurt till the later on because I mean he had his own unique design. Then more Pokemon started to take a little bits and pieces of his design, like Y. That one definitely took chunks out of his design, but other than that, interesting Pokemon design. None other like him.
All right. LuckyEevee, what would you give Lugia?
I would have to rewatch the movie, but in general, for Lugia as a whole, 10 out of 10.
Whoa. One of the first 10 out of 10s we've gotten.
Nice.
Yeah, great. And Mathmachine, what's your score?
If we were rating it on Lugia in general, it would be a 10 because I just love Lugia's design. By far my favorite legendary design, though only my second favorite legendary behind Mewtwo. Yes, I'm a dirty Gen 1er scumbag. But if we're having to limit it to this movie's version of Lugia, 8. Just this movie did not click with me as much as the first movie and the third movie. I've always found this one a little underwhelming compared to those two.
Yes,
and
same.
Lugia in this, unfortunately, suffers from just the issues that never clicked with me in that. Like I said, it was Lugia overall, absolutely 10, but specifically here, 8.
All right. Okay, well, that's it for the Dragoness Scale then. If you have any questions, or if you want to talk about how shorts are comfy and easy to wear, you can email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Next time, we'll be talking about the 1963 Disney movie, The Sword and the Stone. Until then, thank you so much for listening for this week, and take care.
All right. Later, y'all.
Peace.
See ya.